Hi. Really? A honk just as I start filming? Okay, we're just gonna leave that in. Hi. Off to a great start. Have you ever heard that statistic that's like only 5% of your experiences or what you can control is within your conscious mind, and how like 95% of that is in your like subconscious mind or like unconscious mind? Because when you first hear that, it feels like a wildly disempowering statistic. And it feels like, what do I do with that if 95% of everything is below the surface? And I want to talk about awareness today. Hi, I'm Oliver, or Ali, and I help overgivers, people who have big hearts, who care a lot about helping other people, but sometimes don't know how to care about themselves, or don't know how to have that harmony, between caring for others and themselves, and they end up experiencing the consequences of burnout and exhaustion and fatigue and all these things. And I help overgivers to remember their sense of self-worth, of healthy self-worth. And I do this through a practice of self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. So today I want to talk about awareness. And the example that I want to give is an over-apologizer. Because if you are an over-apologizer, I definitely used to be an over-apologizer. Nope, pause. Visual description. Visual description, I'm sitting in my car. It's like cloudy outside. I'm wearing a blue hoodie, a purple lanyard, and a blue and white headscarf today. Or hair. You get it. So I want to talk about awareness. Because if you are someone who apologizes frequently, and you may be aware of that. You may be like, that's not in my subconscious. I'm aware that I apologize frequently. I'm aware that people tell me to stop apologizing, and it makes me want to apologize more. Like, I have been that person. I have been that person. If you don't know what I'm talking about, think Charlie in the beginning of the Heartstopper series on Netflix, and also in the books by Alice Oseman. Fantastic series. Anyways, so if you are an over-apologizer, if you apologize for things that are not yours to apologize for, or that you don't actually need to apologize for, somewhere along the way, you learned that to take up space was painful. You learned somewhere along the way that you had to change who you were being, or what you let people see of you, in order so that you could feel loved, in order so that you could be, taken care of. And so over apologizing is frequently a coping mechanism that somewhere in your mind you think, if I just apologize enough, they can't abandon me. If I just apologize for everything, it may be hurting me, but it's not, at least I'm not hurting other people, right? And so going back to this awareness thing, you may be aware that you apologize. You may be aware that it doesn't feel good when you apologize for things that you don't need to. But there's a difference between... Friendly reminder to drink more water. My hydration alarm from Beautiful Chorus. Remember to hydrate, please. There's a difference. I'm like so aware of all of the noises around me right now. There's a difference between being aware vaguely that you are an over apologizer and that people, I don't know if you can hear that siren. I can hear that siren. There's a difference between being aware on autopilot that you are an over apologizer and having specific awareness of it. There's a difference between just sort of knowing it vaguely and like having tangible proof of it. For example, if you had one of these counter things, mine is blue, people frequently use these for like attendance at events or whatever. If you had one of these counter things and either you or a loved one, clicked it, 555 in the recording time, thank you for that. If you had someone that cares about you, that you trust them to be honest with you in a respectful way, if you asked them, like, hey, would you take this clicker and follow me around for the next, hour, 2 hours, day, and click it every time I apologize. I want to see how many times I'm apologizing. My guess is that you would be surprised at how high this number is. And having awareness, having proof of your patterns, having proof of the thoughts that you are allowing on autopilot, that you are acting on autopilot, having proof of just how many times a day you are apologizing can be really confronting. It can be like, whoa, I didn't know that was, like, that seems like a lot. And it's like, if you were to ask yourself, did I really need to apologize that many times in a day? You might say yes, just because of feeling defensive about, I don't want to do anything wrong, so yeah, I needed to. But if you flip it around, and if you were to say, do I think that my best friend needs to apologize however many times? Let's just say it was 25 times. If my best friend went through all of the same actions that I did and said all of the same things that I did in a day, in this day, let's just say it was possible for them to have the exact same day as you. If my best friend did all of these things and apologized 25 times in a single day, how would that make me feel? It would be like, you don't need to apologize. What are you apologizing for? Do you really, what? And so one of the things that I like to help people with is to have tangible proof of, tangible awareness of how they are treating themselves through how they are interacting with others. And I like to do this through having them do journaling or using spreadsheets or tangible counters like this. Something that is out of your mind, something that is out here in the, that was really close. Something that is out here in the physical world or electronic world that you can go back to. And I just lost my train of thought. But something that you can see and go back to, and it's the same every time that you go back to it, instead of being morphed and shifted by your perception. And honestly, even just having that awareness of the details, the specifics of your patterns, of what you are saying, of who you are saying it to, of sensations in your body. There's so many things we can track. I don't need to get into that here, but there's so many things that with just a little bit of intention, you can have a lot more of awareness about yourself. And sometimes even just having the awareness is enough to shift, is enough to change or let go of that pattern or replace it with something more beneficial. It can be really simple once you know what to look for, once you know how to work with your mind instead of against your mind. Once you know how your mind works and what it is already doing and how you can use those processes to benefit your life instead of just being on autopilot. So that's it. I hope this helped. If you have any questions about what I've talked about today, please let me know. I would be happy to answer your questions. I would be happy to... I feel like I could talk about this stuff for hours, and I would be happy to help with another... who knows? If you have a question about something that I say, I might make a video in response to your question, and then you would get that personalized answer. I feel squirmy. But that's okay. I am building the practice. I don't have to be perfect. Done is better than perfect right now. So, thank you for watching. 11:11 in the recording time. I love myself. I love you. I hope that you are nourishing, and I don't know what to do with my hands. I hope that you are nourishing and replenishing yourself and your community if you have anything extra to give to your community. And I hope that you are allowing your community to nourish and replenish you as well. Because you are worthy, you are enough, and you are loved. I promise. Thank you so much for watching.